The building is on fire. Lieutenant Colonel John Frost presses his back against the wall as another German shell slams into the brick facade above him. Plaster dust rains down. Through the smoke and flames, he can see the bridge. The reason 740 British paratroopers are about to die. It's the night of September 20th, 1944, Arnhem, Holland, the northern end of the Rhine Bridge. Frost touches his wounded ankle, feels the wetness of fresh blood. Around him, men with faces blackened by soot and exhaustion fire the last of their ammunition at an enemy that outnumbers them 20-1. The medical supplies ran out yesterday. The food ran out this morning. The water ran out at noon. Outside, 2 entire SS Panzer divisions circle like wolves. And somewhere, miles away through German lines, the relief force that was supposed to arrive 2 days ago is still fighting its way toward them. Still failing. Frost knows what this means. He's known since yesterday. They're not coming. But here's what the German generals didn't know, what they couldn't have predicted. This bridge was supposed to fall in 4 hours. The Germans had tanks, artillery, flamethrowers. The British had rifles, a handful of anti-tank guns, and something the Germans didn't account for. They had John Frost, and he was about to turn 4 hours into 4 days and change the course of Operation Market Garden forever. September 1944. The war in Europe is reaching its climax. The Allies have swept across France. Paris is liberated. The Germans are on the run. Victory feels close, intoxicatingly close. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery proposes a plan so audacious it takes everyone's breath away. Operation Market Garden. Drop 3 airborne divisions behind German lines. Capture the bridges. Create a corridor through Holland, across the Rhine, straight into the industrial heart of Germany. End the war by Christmas. The biggest airborne operation in history. 20,000 paratroopers. A bridge too far, as history would later call it. The prize? The Rhine Bridge at Arnhem, 64 miles behind enemy lines, the last obstacle before Germany's interior. Take it, and you cut the German army in half. The plan is simple. Drop the British 1st Airborne Division near Arnhem, capture the bridge, hold it for 48 hours until XXX Corps, tanks, artillery, thousands of ground troops, arrives to relieve them. 2 days, just 2 days. But there's a problem. Actually, several problems. The RAF insists the drop zones must be 8 miles from the bridge. Too much anti-aircraft fire closer in, they say. This means the paratroopers will have to march to their objective through towns, forests, narrow roads. The Germans will have time to react. Surprise, the paratroopers' greatest weapon will be lost. Intelligence reports suggest only second-rate troops in the area. Old men, teenagers, convalescents, nothing the elite 1st Airborne can't handle. Intelligence is wrong. Resting near Arnhem, the Tuhu SS Panzer Corps. 2 veteran panzer divisions, the 9th and 10th, pulled back to refit after being mauled in France. Experienced soldiers, Tiger tanks, armored cars, and they're commanded by officers who know exactly what they're doing. But nobody tells the paratroopers this. Or, if they do, the warnings don't make it up the chain. So, on September 17, 1944, at 11:30 a.m., 32 Dakota transport planes lift off from Saltby Airfield in Lincolnshire. Inside, Lieutenant Colonel John Dutton Frost and 509 men of the 2nd Parachute Battalion. Frost is 31 years old. Born in India, educated at Sandhurst, he's been soldiering since 1932. He's one of the first officers to volunteer for the Parachute Regiment. He's fought in North Africa, raided Bruneval, jumped into Sicily, survived Tunisia. He has a distinguished service order. He's tall, heavy-set for a paratrooper, with a face that one of his officers describes as having permanent worry lines across his forehead. He relishes a fight, and he's about to get one. John Frost isn't supposed to be a paratrooper. When he first volunteers in 1941, his commanding officer tells him, "I can't imagine any sensible person choosing you to be a parachutist. You ought to keep your feet firmly on the ground." Too tall, too heavy, too conventional. But Frost is bored with coastal defense duty. He wants action. So he ignores the skeptics, passes the brutal training, and joins the 2nd Parachute Battalion. His first mission, Operation Biting. February 1942. Bruneval, France. Drop onto a cliff in the dead of night, dismantle a German radar installation, and escape by sea. It's the British Parachute Regiment's first real test. Frost leads C Company, 120 men, into France. They pull it off, every objective achieved, minimal casualties. The raid becomes legendary. Tunisia comes next. November 1942, orders to destroy an airfield at Oudna, but the airfield is abandoned, and the promised armored column never arrives. Frost's battalion finds itself 50 miles behind enemy lines, surrounded, outnumbered, attacked from all sides. They fight their way back. 16 officers dead, 250 men lost. For this, Frost receives his DSO. Sicily, September 1943. Another jump, another scattered drop. The battalion fights piecemeal but takes their objectives. By September 1944, Frost is the most experienced battalion commander in the 1st Airborne Division. When Major General Roy Urquhart needs someone to capture the Arnhem Bridge, the choice is obvious. Frost is the man. The 2nd Battalion gets the mission. Frost carries a hunting horn, a copper one, a family heirloom. He uses it to signal assembly after drops. His men know that sound. It means Frost is on the ground. It means the mission is on. On September 17th, at Drop Zone X near Renkum, as 509 paratroopers tumble from the sky and hit Dutch soil, Frost raises that horn to his lips and blows. The battle for Arnhem begins. 3 routes lead from the drop zones to Arnhem. 3 battalions take 3 different approaches. Frost's 2nd Battalion takes Lion Route, the southernmost path following the Rhine. The 1st and 3rd Battalions take northern routes through Oosterbeek and along the main roads. By 1 p.m. they're moving. Dutch civilians line the streets, waving orange flowers, pressing cakes and milk into the soldiers' hands. Liberation. The paratroopers smile, wave back, but keep moving. No time for celebration. Within hours, everything starts going wrong. The northern battalions run straight into SS Kampfgruppe Kraft, a blocking force that shouldn't exist. Machine guns, mortars, the advance stalls. The 1st and 3rd battalions are pinned down, fighting through streets and forests, taking casualties, going nowhere fast. But Frost's battalion, moving along the river, slips through. Kraft doesn't have enough men to cover the southern route. The 2nd Battalion encounters scattered resistance, an armored car here, a patrol there, but Major Digby Tatham Warder's a company at the lead cuts through them with brutal efficiency. No stopping. Keep moving. At one point, Frost marches the entire battalion through a Dutch house, in the back door, through the living room, out the front, to avoid a German position. The homeowner is not pleased. By 7:30 p.m., a company reaches the railway bridge. As they approach, German engineers blow it. The center span collapses into the Rhine. The pontoon bridge is missing its central section. Useless. That leaves one bridge, the main road bridge. At 8:00 p.m. on September 17th, a company arrives at the northern end of the Arnhem Road Bridge. They've killed or captured 150 Germans getting here. They've lost 1 man. Frost establishes his headquarters in a building overlooking the bridge approach. Other units trickle in: B Company, engineers, Brigade HQ, anti-tank gun crews, even some glider pilots. By nightfall, roughly 740 men hold positions around the northern ramp. 740 men. That's it. Not the 10,000 the plan called for. Not even a full brigade. Barely more than a battalion. The rest of the division is stuck miles away, fighting German blocking forces. Frost sends radio messages. "We've taken the bridge. Send reinforcements." But the radios don't work. The sets are the wrong frequency. Signals fade into static. Nobody hears him. Meanwhile, the Germans react with terrifying speed. SS Brigade Führer Heinz Harmel, commanding the 10th SS Panzer Division, immediately grasps what's happening. British paratroopers on the bridge. This can't stand. He orders his reconnaissance battalion, under SS Hauptsturmführer Victor Grabner, to rush across from the south and crush them. At 9 p.m., Grabner tries. 22 armored vehicles roar onto the bridge from the south, engines screaming, racing for the northern end. British anti-tank guns open fire. Point-blank range. One vehicle after another explodes. Men burn. The bridge becomes an inferno. Grabner's battalion is annihilated. Grabner himself dies on that bridge. Frost's men have stopped the first attack, but they know more are coming. And the clock is ticking. XXX Corps is supposed to arrive in 48 hours. 2 days. Can 740 lightly armed paratroopers hold a bridge against 2 panzer divisions for 2 days? The Germans don't think so. They give Frost's force 4 hours, maybe less. Day 2, September the 18th. Dawn breaks over Arnhem, and with it comes hell. German artillery opens up. The buildings around the bridge erupt. Shells crash through walls. Roofs collapse. Fires spread. Snipers on the southern bank pick off anyone who moves. Frost's men hunker down. Fire back when they can. Drag wounded to makeshift aid stations and cellars. Major Tatham Warder, commanding A Company, walks through the bombardment with an umbrella. An umbrella. "I can't remember the password," he explains, "so I carry this. Everyone knows who I am." His men think he's insane. He becomes a legend. Hour after hour, the Germans attack. Infantry, tanks, armored cars. Every assault is met with rifle fire, grenades, anti-tank rounds. The British don't have much ammunition, so every shot counts. They can't afford to miss. Frost moves between positions, calm, steady, encouraging. "Hold on," he tells his men. "XXX Corps is coming. Just hold on." But XXX Corps isn't coming. Not yet. They're stuck at Nijmegen, 20 miles south, fighting for another bridge. The advance is behind schedule. At the Arnhem Bridge, casualties mount. The medical officers, Captain Logan, Captain Wright, work non-stop, operating without anesthetic, without proper equipment. The aid stations overflow. Men with shattered limbs, burns, gut wounds, no morphine, no plasma, just bandages and hope. By nightfall, the ammunition situation is critical. Frost orders rationing. 1 magazine per man. Make every bullet count. Day 3, September 19th. The Germans bring in more firepower, self-propelled guns, Nebelwerfers, multi-barreled rocket launchers the British call Moanin' Minis because of the terrifying sound they make. Flamethrowers. A German assault gun rolls up to one of Frost's positions and fires point-blank into the building. The wall explodes. Men are buried in rubble. Corporal Horace Goodrich, manning a Bren gun at a window, describes what happens next. "The enemy brought up a self-propelled gun to shell our building. I happened to be manning a Bren gun in the right place to engage it. After getting off 2 short bursts, I observed what had all the appearance of a golden tennis ball at the mouth of the gun. The next moment, I was lying on my back, covered in dust and debris. The shell struck the wall at my feet." Goodrich survives. Others don't. The casualty list grows longer. Polish paratroopers are supposed to drop south of the bridge today to reinforce Frost. But bad weather over England delays the drop. The Poles don't come. Frost and his men are still alone. That night, Frost gathers his officers. The situation is stark. No reinforcements, almost no ammunition, food gone, water gone, medical supplies exhausted, hundreds of wounded who can't be evacuated. "We hold," Frost says, not a question, a statement. Day 4, September 20th. This is the day everything breaks. German artillery pounds the British positions relentlessly. Every building around the bridge is on fire now. Flames leap from windows. Smoke chokes the streets. Men fight in infernos, their faces blackened, uniforms charred. At 10:00 a.m., Frost is hit. A mortar shell explodes near him. Shrapnel tears into both legs. He's carried to the aid station, now packed with wounded, blood on every surface, men screaming or silent in shock. Frost tries to remain in command, but the pain is overwhelming. Major Gough takes over. The defense continues. The Germans close in, building by building, room by room. The perimeter shrinks. By afternoon, the British hold only a few structures. The wounded can't be moved. They lie on floors, waiting. A temporary truce is arranged. German medics help evacuate the worst casualties. This is war, but even here, in the midst of slaughter, there are moments of humanity. SS soldiers and British paratroopers carry stretchers together. But the fighting resumes, and by nightfall, it's clear the end has come. The final message from the bridge is transmitted around 9 p.m. Out of ammunition. God save the King. At dawn on September 21st, the survivors, fewer than 200 unwounded men, surrender. Frost, barely conscious from his wounds, is taken prisoner. The bridge, which German generals said would fall in 4 hours, has held for 4 days. 96 hours. 4 times longer than expected. Twice as long as a full division was supposed to hold it. The Germans are stunned. SS officers who fought at the bridge speak with open respect for Frost's men. One German commander later says, "Never in the war did I see men fight with such determination." Of the 740 men who reached the bridge, 81 are dead. Nearly 300 are wounded. Only 17 avoid capture. The 2nd Parachute Battalion has ceased to exist. The rest of the 1st Airborne Division, trapped at Oosterbeek, holds out until September 25th before being evacuated across the Rhine. Of 10,700 British troops deployed, only 2,323 make it back. The rest are killed or captured. Operation Market Garden has failed. The bridge at Arnhem was, indeed, a bridge too far. But here's what most people don't understand. Frost's defense wasn't a failure. It was a tactical miracle. By holding the bridge for 4 days, Frost prevented the Germans from sending reinforcements south to Nijmegen, where the American 82nd Airborne and British XX Corps were fighting for another crucial bridge. If German armor had crossed at Arnhem and hit the Americans from behind, the entire operation would have collapsed even faster. The 82nd might have been destroyed. XX Corps might have been cut off. Frost's stand bought time, not enough time to win, but enough to prevent an even greater disaster. Frost spends the rest of the war in German POW camps, first at Oflag 9AH at Spangenberg, then at a hospital at Obermarsfeld when his ankle wound reopens. In March 1945, Patton's Third Army liberates him. For his actions at Arnhem, Frost receives a bar to his Distinguished Service Order. His citation reads, "Lieutenant Colonel Frost was in command of 2 Battalion the Parachute Regiment, which dropped 6 miles west of Arnhem on Sunday 17th of September 1944. Despite overwhelming odds, he held his positions for 4 days and nights." After the war, Frost remains in the Army, eventually rising to Major General. He retires in 1968 to become a beef cattle farmer in West Sussex. When the movie A Bridge Too Far is filmed in 1977, Frost serves as technical advisor. Anthony Hopkins portrays him on screen. In December 1977, the Rhine Bridge at Arnhem is officially renamed the John Frost Bridge. It stands today as a memorial to 740 men who were supposed to hold for 2 days and instead held for 4. Every year on September 17th, veterans gather at the bridge. Fewer each year, but they come. Dutch civilians come too, laying flowers, remembering. Frost himself attends these ceremonies until his death in 1993 at age 80. In his memoirs, he writes, "We were highly delighted to be given a really worthwhile task at last. This was the genuine airborne thrust we had been awaiting. A worthwhile task." That's how he describes a battle that killed a quarter of his men and left the rest in German prison camps. But that was John Frost, a soldier who carried a hunting horn into battle, who marched through Dutch living rooms, who stood at a bridge for 4 days while German shells rained down, while his men ran out of everything except courage and said, "We hold." The Germans thought 4 hours. Frost gave them 4 days. And in those 4 days, he proved something that armies have known since ancient times, that will can triumph over firepower, that a small force of determined men, led by someone who refuses to quit, can hold against impossible odds, not forever, but long enough to matter. The question isn't whether Frost could have held longer if he'd had more ammunition, more men, more support. The question is how he held at all, against 2 panzer divisions, with no reinforcements, no resupply, no hope. The answer lies not in tactics or strategy, it lies in the man himself, and in the 740 paratroopers who followed him to that bridge, and decided that surrender wasn't an option until there was literally nothing left to fight with. 4 hours or 4 days? Frost chose 4 days, and in choosing became a legend.